Good morning.
Hi,
Good
Karen.
morning,
How
Barbara.
are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, very good.
I'm so glad you're here today. Barbara is joining us at the Keene Valley Library as an artist and is going to do an art project for you today, with you today.
That's right.
And
But before that,
I'm Karen Glass and I'm going to read you a story. So here we go.
here we go.
Good morning. Today we're reading Blue and Other Colors with Henri Matisse. Here's the title page. Blue and Other Colors with Henri Matisse. Henri Matisse was known for colors and shapes. So when we read this book, look at the beautiful colors and look at the shapes that he uses. Blue. More blue. Different shapes. What do you see in that shape? Blue and so many other colors. Do you see the blue shapes in there? Blue again. Different shapes. And this one's, oh, blue and green. Green in the back. Green in the front. Do you think that's the same green? Or is it different color green? Green and blue again. And hey, what's that other color? And look at the shapes. It looks like purple. Purple and blue. And there's a splash of pink too. Now, just blue. Well, there's a little black in there. Notice the shapes. Do you see anything in that shape? Blue and yellow. And lots of different shapes in there. Yellow. Blue and yellow. And look! Orange dots, too. Orange. Do you think this orange is the same as that orange? Take a close look. And look at the shapes. Henri Matisse loved shapes. Orange and purple. What happens when the orange sits next to purple? They look so nice together. And here's blue again. All fancy. This blue is all fancy. Hey, look, it's blue and red. And then it's bright red. Do you think these two reds are the same? Here's red with some green. And now some dark purple mixed in. How does that make you feel? Red and green and blue and orange and yellow and, oh, blue. Look at the shape there. Green, pink, yellow, orange, red, purple, and blue. Beautiful blue. Henri Matisse was a French artist who was born in 1869, a long time ago. He was a painter who loved to use bright colors, but in different ways, surprising ways. Once, he painted a portrait of a woman with blue hair and a pink, yellow, and green face. Among Matisse's greatest works of art are his cutouts, all kinds of shapes cut out from pieces of painted paper. He made these when he was too old to stand up and paint all day. Instead, he would sit in bed, or in a chair and use his scissors. He would then paste what he cut out into a pattern on pieces of paper to make a collage. He called it drawing with scissors. These collages are the art you see in this book. Many people love Matisse's artwork, and many artists still use his painting and cutting techniques today. And that's what you're going to do. The end.
Hi, today we're going to do a project about blue and other colors with Henry Matisse. Color is amazing. That our eyes can even see it is very much a mystery and magical. At least that's how I think of it. And today you're going to need a few supplies, different scraps of colored paper, a few pieces of larger paper, colored. Doesn't matter what colors you have, any of them are fine. A pair of scissors and a glue stick. And again, either some newspaper or plastic on your table to protect it. Henry Matisse was an artist who was fascinated by shape and color. This book, called Blue, begins with blue, but it moves through lots of other colors as well. Shapes. This reminds me of our project that we did about shapes, the dynamic shapes. But it's also about thinking about color and how color works together. Today is an adventure in color. We're going to look at how one color against another color for a background, it really changes. The shapes change, and how our eye sees it changes too. Let's begin. I have here in front of me a lot of scraps of all different colors of paper, and because they're scraps, there are different shapes too. If you don't have as many colors as I do, that's not a problem. If you don't have a lot of scraps, I bet you do. But if you don't, you can make some. I was looking at the papers the other day and realizing that there's something about how we see colors. I took this piece of rectangle of paper and I put it first against this orange. And the rectangle looked very, very gray to me. Then I picked it up and put it on this blue. And then the rectangle looked very, very purple to me. That got me thinking, I could do that with lots of different colors. Let's see what happens. This is the adventure. If I put blue on orange, it really is bright. If I put blue on another blue color, this blue is different than this one. Now this one looks purple. So for the first part of this project, just pick a color or two or three, piece of paper, and experiment with what the colors look like, one on top of another. I have great big pieces here. Maybe it's a little bit large. I think I might cut this one into something smaller. Look how bright that looks against the blue. Much brighter than when it is against a pink, red, or similar color to itself. The color wheel is a way that we can define and talk about color. The color wheel is an invention of how we can define or use color in a way so as to understand it better. In a standard Munsell color wheel, there are three primary colors, and I'll bet you know what they are. Those are the colors we can't make other colors from when we're mixing paints, making pigments, as we say. Do you know? from them we can make many other colors. In fact, so many. Some people call all the different colors, each one, a hue. That's a kind of a neat word, hue. It's fun to say. After a while with this project, and I've had time to play and experiment and adventure with the color, oh, that looks so different like that. So much brighter against the blue than the red. Contrasting there. Contrast, now there's a good word. Some things have a lot of contrast and some not very much. This orange on the blue has a lot of contrast. Not so much when it's against the red. I think I can spend hours and hours doing this, thinking about what color might look good on another, and over and over and over again. But at some point, I'm going to get the glue stick and glue some things down. Well, let's do that now. Brown, red. That's an interesting shape. I wonder what was cut out of it before I found it. Wow, those two colors really pop. Well, this makes sense if we think about our color wheel, because red is a primary or first color, and green is a secondary color made by mixing two primaries together. Do you know what two primaries those were? Sure you do. Blue and yellow. So if I put those two colors together, that's a big, big contrast, isn't it? I kind of like that shape. Maybe I'll glue that down. When I glue something to the paper, I really don't want to glue on top of the paper like this. Whoops, it would help if I twisted my glue stick up. If I do this, I'm going to get glue on the final paper. So I want a piece of scrap paper, and this is where that newspaper comes in really handy. Or maybe just a scrap you don't want to use because it doesn't look really nice. When I use a glue stick, I try to go around the edges. There's no point in going all over it unless it's a very small piece. This way, the glue stick lasts longer and it's also quicker. So get the edges, and in this case, if I go off a little bit, that's a piece of newspaper. It doesn't matter. I'm going to glue that down and then rub all over the edges so that the paper will glue down nice and well. Wow, that's pretty neat. But is that enough? It's pretty neat. But I think I might try some other things. That looks so blue. That looks so gray-purple. What if I crossed it? So half of it looked sort of more one color and half the other. But I don't think that shape's very interesting. Maybe I'll make it a little more interesting. Now I have another problem. They're both pretty cool. This one or this one? I think I'm going to use this one. Again, putting my scrap on the newspaper and doing the edges. Now, I have to think about exactly which way. So I try it first a little bit. Ooh, that's kind of neat. Makes another shape in there. I think I'm going to put it right there. Now, if we look back at Matisse, we see that Matisse was interested in colors, but he didn't use too many at one time. Unlike this project, which was really more about shape, and we chose so many colors to make our project. In this case, limiting the number of colors you choose can often be very, very much more interesting. Look how the orange looks on that blue. Wow. The black on the orange. We can learn so much from color when we really study it. This is a neat looking project. Matisse made the simplest of shapes. He was more concerned and interested in the colors than he was for the shapes themselves. But the shapes are important because as you put them down, they become more interesting the more you experiment with them. Pink? I'm not sure. Purple? Ooh, that's kind of neat. Look at that now. Maybe I'll put that there. But I'm going to try it in a few places before I absolutely decide. No. No. I think I liked it there best. So you will want to continue along for some time. And I'll let you do that, but before you go, I did these the other day because I was practicing for this project. And I came up with this kind of thing. I began with a pink square. Then I cut out, it may look black to you, but it's actually a very dark green. And then the orange yellow. And what I did is I cut this apart and pulled them apart. So that would look like this. Maybe you're going to find a shape like a rectangle. I'm going to square it off so it's nice and neat. I'm going to cut a line with my scissors. And in this case, it's going to look a little bit like that. I'm going to curve around and curve around. Some people, I notice when they cut, use their arm to turn. Maybe I'm just lazy, but I prefer to turn the paper. It's much easier. So when I have a corner, notice how I'm turning my arm that's holding the paper, not the scissors. I mean, you can do it either way, whatever easier for you. I just know for myself, I like to keep the scissors straight, or mostly straight, and cut as I turn the paper. So I have cut this now into two pieces. And when it's together, let's grab this piece and put it here so you can see it. When it's all together, it's one yellow rectangle. But as I pull it apart, at first, it's just a little line. Do you see? If I pull a little bit further apart, that line becomes a shape. Wow, is that cool or what? You can do that with any kind of line, with any kind of cutting. Some works better than others, and you'll discover that. I was intrigued by how where I pulled it apart and had to decide when to glue it down, where to stop. Sometimes it goes so far apart, maybe you don't see that relationship between the two shapes anymore. But maybe you don't want to. Here's another one I did. This one I really enjoyed doing. Oops, I think it's upside down from the way I made it. This way up. Again, I just took different pieces, and if you look closely, you'll see some of the pieces I kept the positive, the thing I cut out, and the negative, the thing that was left behind. Huh. This doesn't have a positive or a negative. The positive is the whole, and the negative is formed by pulling it apart and making a shape between the two with the background color to show that. Again, this project is yours, and you do it any way you want to, because art art is always right. It doesn't mean we love everything we do, and it doesn't mean we keep everything we make. But it means that if we're having a good time exploring, using our imagination, our curiosity, and working with the materials around us, it makes for a really good day. Thank you for joining, and I'll see you again soon.